Hi there kids, it's time for our Tuesday story time. Are you ready? Have a seat and listen to the next part of this book called The Boy with the Loaves and Fishes by Enid Blyton. Simon did work hard that day. His father was pleased with him and praised him. When they walked home together, he gave Simon a proud pat on the back. "You did well, son," he said. "You hoed without shirking, and you mended that broken fence strongly. You're a good lad." Simon felt proud. He was very tired, but he was not going to show it. He kept up with his father. He was hungry too, and wished it was not such a long uphill way home. Behind the hills was a mountain, rising much more steeply. Simon was glad his home was not up there. He had never been up that mountain, but he meant to one day. Then he gazed behind him down at the lake. This is a picture of Simon helping his father. It looked lovely. Simon thought how cool the water would be to his tired feet. When he had had a meal, perhaps his mother would let him go fishing, as she had said. He could call for James on his way. "He's been a good lad," his father said when they reached home. "We'll have a meal and then Simon can have a rest. He must be tired." "I don't want a rest," said Simon. "Can't I go fishing with James?" "You said I could, Mother. Do let me." "It will be lovely down by the lake this evening. I'll bring you back plenty of fish for tomorrow. Eat your supper first and then see if you still want to go," said his mother. And she gave him some bread and pickles. "You might like to play with Ruth. She has been lonely without you all day." But after he had eaten his meal, Simon wanted to go fishing. His mother gave him a little basket. "I hope it will be big enough to hold all the fish," she said. Simon set off across the slope of the green hill. The sun was sinking now, but there was still time to go down to the lake and back. He soon came to James's little whitewashed house and called loudly, "James, come out and fish." "Where do you think I've been all day?" "I've been working at the farm with my father." James appeared at once. "Have you really?" he said. "Mother, can I go with Simon?" "Well, it's growing late," said his mother. "Don't be too long." The boys darted down the hillside to the lake. They chose the steepest path because their legs seemed to go by themselves. They spread out their coats for the wind to catch and yelled with joy to feel themselves going so fast. "Now, let's be quiet," panted Simon as they came to the lakeside. "We don't want to frighten the fish away." It was a tiny inlet of water they had now come to, with bushes hanging over the water. The inlet was deep, and quite big fish sometimes came into it. The boys lay down flat, as quietly as they could. Simon nudged James. A big fish was swimming slowly below them. They had no nets, only their bare hands. As quick as a cat, James slid his hand into the water and grabbed at the fish. But it was away at once with a flick of its tail. Other fish came swimming by. Patiently the boys lay beside the water, their arms dangling in it, wet and cool, waiting to catch any unwary fish. James caught 2 big ones and was delighted. He was quicker than Simon. Then Simon caught one and was so surprised that he almost let it go. "It's only a small one," he said, as he put it into his basket. "Not nearly as big as yours, James." James caught another. He was pleased. "You can have one of mine," he said. "No, you keep yours," said Simon. "Wait, here comes one." He pounced on the silvery fish and held it. It was slippery, and Simon was afraid it would get away. But soon it was safely in his basket. Now he had two, rather small ones, but still perhaps they would be big enough for his mother to pickle. "We ought to go home," said James. "We'll have to hurry." The two boys left the lakeside and made their way up the hill, talking. "Have you heard about that man called Jesus?" asked James. "Yes," said Simon. "I wanted to go down to Capernaum and hear him telling stories and see him making ill people well, but Mother wouldn't let me." "Did you know he could cure even mad people?" said James. "Well, he can. My father said so. And there's something more than that too. This man Jesus has brought dead people back to life again." Simon stared at James, hardly believing him. Then he thought of something. "Do you remember when our donkey died last year?" he said. Could Jesus have made him come alive again?" Mother cried. "I did too, because our donkey was my friend." "He can do anything," said James. "He's a good man, and people say it's because he's so good and kind that he can do these things. I wish we could see him." "I wouldn't dare speak to him," said Simon. "I should be afraid. Look, here's your mother calling for you." The boys parted and Simon went to his own home. "I was just beginning to worry about you," said his mother. "Have you caught me enough fish for tomorrow's meals?" His father looked into Simon's basket and laughed. "Fish? Look what he's caught. You can hardly see them. They're not worth pickling." "Aren't they?" said Simon in a disappointed voice. His mother smiled at him. "They're nice little fish," she said. "I shall certainly pickle them for you, Simon. You can eat them yourself with your bread tomorrow." "Yes, I will," said Simon. "And next time I'll catch big fish, enough for you, Mother." And that's the end of the story for today. Make sure you join me again tomorrow for the next part. See you then. Bye.